I bought this wrecked 2011 Hyundai Tucson from the auction a couple of weeks ago, and after purchasing the car, I found out there were many other extended problems beyond the initial assessment I had from the auction details. In the previous episode, I was able to get the car cleaned up, servicing and maintenance done, and also take care of the manifold runner control motor that kept giving me the check engine light. Additionally, I also transformed this car's look with the undesirable steel wheels to an upgraded 18-inch OEM alloy wheels, and to be honest, it was a great decision to increase the resale value of this car. In today's episode, I'm going to continue denting and painting work to get rid of the collision damage, flaky clear coat, and rust from the driver's side so I can get close to its factory glory. In the previous episode, I pulled out the dents from the driver's side primary collision area and the driver door so that I can at least open the door without scraping its fender. So now the only thing pending are the cosmetic things. For example, here, as you can see, the clear coat has flaked out. I'm going to go ahead and sand them out and apply a fresh coat of clear coat in the side of the front bumper here. Most of the fender is good. I just have to pull this dent out. There's a small, very slight dent here, and this paint here is scraped until the bare metal. So I have to clean this area up, put some body filler, spray some primer, base coat, and then finish it up with a small layer of clear coat. And here the door was scraping with the fender, as you remember, so it took off a lot of paint. I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I'm going to do here. Sand them off to the bare metal, put some body filler, spray some primer, base coat, and then secure it with some clear coat. If you can notice here, this area has a bit of bump, so it goes inwards and then it comes out. This is the body line that goes, and then it goes inwards here. I just have to put some hot glue, pull it out, and try my best to get this body line straight as much as possible. I'll try my best to get it perfectly done, but if not, it's not a big deal. And moving to the left passenger side, there are some blemishes here from the beginning, also some bare metal spots. And the clear coat here is a bit iffy too. It goes onto the bottom of the rear quarter panel. So I'm just going to try my best to sand them off and apply a fresh new coat of clear coat, but only on the areas that are required so that I can feather them out and polish it when I'm done. Alright, now let's give the work area a quick cleanup with soapy water so I can prep it for dent pulling with hot glue. Today I'm going to use a T-handle, which is a simple tool for pulling dents without an impact hammer, just like the one I used for the fender and the door earlier. I'm going to try to pull the dents using hot glue on the T-handle's various size tabs. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a professional dent puller or painter nor a mechanic. I just like to work on cars, learn new stuff every day, and have some fun while doing it. And I'm only saying this because I know the paintless dent repair community is sometimes very outspoken when they see non-professionals like myself attempt to repair a dent. So I'm going to try my best to do a professional job as much as possible. I'm going to use one of the tabs provided in the T-handle kit and apply hot glue on the clean surface so I can pull out the dent as much as possible. But before I start pulling, I'm going to apply some heat on the dent, but not so much that the hot glue starts melting. I'm going to use rubbing alcohol to remove the hot glue, and honestly, over the counter 70% or the 99% alcohol content works absolutely fine. I would recommend using the T-handle for small dents that are easy to be popped out, just like this one on the driver door. Now moving on to the bottom section of the rear quarter panel. As you can see, the handle is not very effective when it comes to dents on the body lines, so I'm going to have to pull it using a PDR rod. Alright, now it's time to wet sand the flaky clear coat wherever visible. And the idea is to get rid of all the old clear coat to have a smooth finish. But unfortunately, because of the body lines, it was unavoidable to sand out some base coat paint, which means I'm gonna have to decide whether or not I need to apply a fresh base coat on this edge of the bumper. There are also similar flaky clear coat on the driver's side door, which I'm gonna also wet sand behind the camera. Moving to the bottom section of the rear quarter panel, it appears that the previous owner attempted to do some body work here, which looks like a complete disaster. There are rusty spots, flaky clear coat, and what appears to be a mismatch of clear coat type. So I'm gonna use a sanding block to sand the whole area so I can get a smooth finish to get rid of any rust or uneven paint job. As you can see, the quality of paint really matters when we try to DIY a paint job at home. And when we talk about quality paint, there is no other paint supplier I can think of better than Scratches Happen. You may have previously also seen me use Scratches Happen products on my previous Honda CR-V salvage rebuild, and the results were outstanding. In today's episode, I'm going to use an Aerosol complete paint kit by Scratches Happen. The process is very simple. You check your VIN and the paint code mentioned on your VIN plate. Then go to Scratches Happen website and input your car details. Their website has all the relevant information and the suggested paint kit for your DIY job, starting from chips or minor scratches to a complete paint kit for the perfect finish. Scratches Happen guarantees color match, and in case you have difficulty matching your metallic shade for whatever reason, you can always reach out to their customer service and get help almost immediately. In the complete paint kit by Scratches Happen, you will get primer, base coat, clear coat, masking tape, test cards, wet and dry sanding paper, tack cloth, painter's gloves, polish, as well as static wipes. Which means for your DIY paint job, you only have to put an order with Scratches Happen and they will take care of all the supplies. Scratches Happen has served over 1 million satisfied customers across US and Canada, and they take pride in their quality of paint. You can enjoy a 10% discount on your order using the code BillFixCars. Huge thanks to Scratches Happen for sponsoring to this episode. Now let's test the color match. Testing the paint is very simple. I'm going to shake the aerosol paint can as instructed for 1 to 3 minutes and spray on the test card with a couple of coats and also top it up with a few layers of clear coat. Now it is important to understand that you can only test a color match after you have successfully applied a few layers of clear coat, because some of these metallic paints are waterborne and they only show their true shade once they are covered with clear coat. As you can see, the spray output is super even and dense, and it's very satisfying to see products work as intended. Alright, the test card is almost dried up, and under light, the shade looks like an exact match. The best way to judge it would be under the sun, but for now, under different angles and under flashlight, it looks like the perfect balance of metallic grains and shade. So I'm happy with the color match. So what I did is basically, if you saw in the time lapse, there were some black spots here, and that was from the previously poorly done clear coating. So there are some spots that I need to fill with the body filler. For example, this spot here, there's some kind of a tire mark here, so I'm just gonna have to body fill this up a bit and then top it up with some primer. And down here is where I might need some body filler work. I tried my best to match the door gap here, and it looks okay for now. The door doesn't collide with the fender here, it opens absolutely fine. And on the back end here, as you saw in the time lapse, it was a complete disaster here before, and now you can see that the body filler from the previous collision is now completely exposed, which is fine. I can just put some layers of sandable primer in and also make sure the bare metal is covered with the primer, and then sand them up to smoothen them further with a 2000 grit fine sandpaper. And then I can spray some coats of base coat to match with this OEM paint here. I'm going to apply some Bondo body filler to some of these blemishes that are too deep for the sandable primer to fill. And learning from my previous mistakes, this time I'm applying very conservative amount of body filler focused only on the areas that need to be filled. And while the body filler is still not dry, I'm going to make sure to remove any excess body filler so I can avoid additional work sanding for no reason. The best way I found to apply body filler is by using a metal scraper. This is honestly much easier to use and apply pressure. In general, I have about 3 to 4 minutes before the body filler starts to solidify. So I'm going to speed up and mix more Bondo as needed. Before I start sanding the body filler, it is very important to wear a respirator. And if you're painting at home like myself, I would definitely recommend getting one of these respirator masks that comes with eye protection as well as disposable filters. This respirator mask can protect you from organic gases, steam, carbon disulfide, acetone, and other harmful chemicals that can easily go into your lungs. I'm going to put the Amazon link in the description for this respirator mask, so if you're interested, do check it out. Alright, scuffing is completed. So this side should be completely cleaned with soapy water. And after I dry it completely, I'll be able to start the primer process. And for today's task, I'm going to follow the step-by-step instructions provided by Scratches Happen. So they have this very nice step-by-step instructions here. So I just went ahead and printed this out. You can find this on their website online. So for the first step, I had to wet sand the area, which I did a couple of minutes ago. And inside their complete kit, they also provide you with the 500, 1000, and 1500 grit sandpaper. So using the material provided in this kit, I was able to complete first step of the process, and now I'm going to go ahead and wash the car thoroughly. And after I'm done washing and drying the car completely, I can go ahead and mask the area as well as degrease the area with a tack cloth. Alright, I've completed the masking process, and in the front I have only masked half of it because I don't want to paint the whole bumper, and I'm going to repaint this section and try to feather out on the leftmost area. Continuing on the right side here, this whole area will get painted with a new 1 or 2 coats of base coat, and I've also scuffed this up here on the whole fender so that the new paint can adhere to it. Primer will go here, a little bit of primer might go here, and also a bit of primer will go here. And going to further right, the same thing here. And this area will also get primed because it has exposed bare metal. And on the rear end here, I'm also going to scuff this area up where there are a couple of scratches here from the previous owner. So I'm just going to go ahead and scuff this area up so that the new paint can adhere to this space without any primer. Although if you think about it, because it's a metallic color, it becomes really very hard to kind of match those shades. Since I come from the paint business, I know for a fact that matching years old OEM paint to a fresh new wet paint is very, very hard, especially on these metallic colors. There's always going to be a small shade difference. For example, imagine this scuffed area here. I apply new fresh paint here, and then I try to feather out the new paint with the old paint here. And because this paint is old, how much ever I try to match this with the new paint, there's always going to be a small difference shown. And if you're able to tell, you will always be able to tell. So what I was thinking is, instead of doing all of these extra work, I would rather mask the whole upper portion off, because I'm going to apply a new coat of paint here. That paint should also match the door paints here as well as on the rear quarter panel. The only fresh paint to old paint transition will happen towards here and almost on the same side on the front end. And that is also across the body line, which will be really hard for anybody to tell the difference. I think this is a better plan. Instead of doing bits and pieces and trying to feather out the metallic paint, what I'm going to try to do is do the whole thing in one single shot, which is technically going to make it very much easier for me to focus on the whole part instead of being careful on small edges and try to feather out the rest of the area. And just a reminder that the paint I have received from Scratches Happen is actually a waterborne paint, and which means after I spray paint the primer or the base coat, I cannot spray water or any kind of solvent because the paint is gonna wash off. The only way to protect the paint permanently would be to finish it off with 3 to 4 medium to heavy layers of clear coat. Alright, so this is the game plan. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut off this masking sheet from here and expose the doors so I can start scuffing this area completely and start the primer process. Alright, so as you can see, I've scuffed the whole door here, the front door, the rear passenger door, and the rear quarter panel. It's all scuffed up and it will be easy for the new paint to stick to the body panel. Alright, so remember this instruction sheet? So the next step would be to degrease the area with a prep wipe, and this will be provided inside your complete kit from Scratches Happen. So this static control wipe will make sure that the body panel is degreased and there is no static. And after it is completely dry, I will use the tack cloth provided in the complete kit to remove any dust. Look at that. These are the grease that came off from the body panel. Although I cleaned the body panel thoroughly with soapy water twice, and this is the end result. Here's a tip for you. If you run your static wipe over it, it's going to show you this clean path, and that's how it's going to look like when a clear coat is applied to it or it's been polished. For example, this rough part here, when you polish it or apply a fresh coat of clear coat, this is exactly what it's going to look like when it's nice and wet. Alright, cleaning of the body panel is now completed. So the next step would be to test the spray on a test card. So all of these sprays, the primer, base coat, and the clear coat, I have to test the nozzle before I apply on the car, just to make sure there is no overspray or drops of any kind. I'm going to test the nozzle first, and in order to do that, I'm going to shake the nozzle for 60 seconds. We're going to follow the instructions step by step. I'm going to make the first coat very light, and then apply 2 more full, medium, heavy coats. There's a very nice dry time summary given here on this sheet, so I'm going to use this one for primer, base coat, and clear coats. After I'm done with the primer, I'm going to wait for 30 minutes between each coat as instructed, and after that I'll be able to start sanding it. So here are the products that I'm going to use for today. The first aerosol can here is the black primer, then the paint, and the 1K clear coat. Alright, so here's the primer. I'm going to start shaking this for 60 seconds, and you may be able to see a couple of small dents that may appear here, and those dents are because of the mixing ball inside, and that is a good sign. Alright, so I've been shaking this for about a minute now, and as you can see, those dents are very much visible. So now I can go ahead and test this spray on a spray card. There are a couple of ways you can spray this one. So as you can see the nozzle here, this is oriented in a straight way. You can simply rotate this nozzle here, and above that you have the spray nozzle minimum and maximum. So what happens is when you rotate the red knob on the top, you can control the output of the spray if you want maximum or minimum output to come out. Alright, so I have the test card here where I tested the color match. So I'll start from outside, spray it in, and then move out. As you can see, it's sprayed on a straight pattern, and that's because the nozzle was turned on the other side. So I'm going to turn it back how it was from the packaging, and then I'm going to try it again. Just by turning the nozzle here, you can see how the orientation went from horizontal to vertical, and the spray output also looks pretty decent. I'm going to run another coat just to see how it looks. There you go. It looks pretty good. Alright, it is the next day and the primer has dried completely. And the way to understand if the primer has dried is by touching the tape around it. And if your hands are dry, that means the primer is dry. So the next step here will be to sand this primer down with a 2000 grit sandpaper. And even the primer is also waterborne, which means we cannot apply any kind of water. So I'm gonna have to dry sand this with a 2000 grit sandpaper. We tested the nozzle, we sprayed the primer, and now we can move on to step number 4 of the primer process. We freshly applied the primer. It's going to be very rough in surface, so we have to sand this out with a very fine grit sandpaper, such as 1000 or 2000 grit, but this has to be dry sanded in order to remove any nibs, dust, or small blems. And after that, we can wipe off the surface using a tack cloth to remove any kind of dust or remaining debris. I'm going to use this foam block here, and this is from one of those LED lights, and in the packaging you get those LED lights, and this styrofoam block will act as a really nice sanding block in order to sand this. So I'm going to wrap this with a 2000 grit sandpaper and slowly and steadily dry the whole side here, and then I'm going to wipe it off with the tack cloth. Alright, sanding the primer is done. And now the exciting part, the painting. For the paint, it's going to be exactly the same process that we did for the primer. We're going to have to shake it for about 1 to 3 minutes. After we see some visible dents at the bottom, we'll be able to spray the nozzle out on a test card and apply a first light coat followed by 2 or 3 medium to heavy coat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my coat in a way that I evenly spread out the spray, but then when I come to the edge, I'm going to try to loosen it up so that I can create a feathered surface here, which I'll try my best to go ahead and mix with the OEM paint. On the other parts, the whole fender and the whole rear doors will be completely painted, so I don't have to worry about any feathering or mixing. Alright, the first base coat layer is completed, and from the summary of dry times, I have to wait between 10 to 20 minutes depending on the temperature. So I'm going to take a 15 to 20 minute break and come back for the second and third base coat. Alright, it is the next day. So this paint is completely dry. It's been about 14 to 15 hours after the painting, and the paint looks good. I mean, for an aerosol spray paint, I think this is okay. And if I zoom into it, you can see the base coat color is absolutely phenomenal. The final step would be to apply clear coat. I'm going to first apply a light coat first, and after that I can put 2 more medium to heavy full clear coat. On the locations where I have a mix of new paint and the old paint on the bumper side, I'm going to go ahead and take off some of the tape here. What this will do is when I spray the clear coat this way, the clear coat will not make a solid transition line. It will just fall into and try to kind of feather it out, and I can then go ahead and sand it up a bit and polish it. So I'm going to do the same thing over here in the rear quarter panel. Other than that, all the other sides are okay. Take some tape off and make some space here so that the tape doesn't create any kind of solid transition line. I want to show you something. So here is the filter that I used yesterday. The cotton pads on the filter is completely filled with particles of paint. As you can see on the outside of the plastic, the filter actually looked as white as this, but now it looks very bluish. So it is really important to have a respirator whenever you have a paint job or a clear coat job to do. And this is very inexpensive. It's always better to get one of these things for yourself, and you can always replace the white disposable filters, and this is a really good product. I'll put the Amazon link in the description. If you guys are interested, do check it out. Alright, now it's time for the first layer of clear coat. As always, I'm gonna start with testing the nozzle on a test card, and once I'm happy with the spray output, I can go ahead and start spraying on the body panels. Something to keep in mind is that I'm using a 1K clear coat today, which is thin in nature. So as you can see, after I sprayed a couple of passes, I realized I need to spray heavier passes so that the clear coat looks wet instead of leaving behind a dense orange peel. I also learned from a professional recently that as soon as we let go of the fear of having runs or teardrops of clear coat, we will realize that our clear coat spray has turned out better than anticipated. Alright, check this out. The clear coat layer turned out very good and I can see myself in the reflection already. And obviously better shine will be achieved after polishing. Check out the paint match on this fender. This is the factory paint on the hood and this is the newly painted fresh wet paint on the fender. I'm going to discover more on the metallic shade under the sun, but for now under different angles, you can see that there is no way I can tell which one is the factory paint and which one is the newly painted area. I think this looks absolutely phenomenal. Scratches Happen did a really good job in matching the color, and that too from just an online order. So if you're scheduled or planning to do a DIY paint job at home, definitely check out scratcheshappen.com or scratcheshappen.ca. I just finished applying clear coat, so it is always recommended to unmask your tape as soon as you finish spraying the clear coat, and this will allow the clear coat to settle down and not peel with your masking tape when it's completely dried. Alright, it's been 72 hours and the car is completely dry. But obviously there is a lot of dust on the car. So now it's time for me to give the car a good wash. The new paint obviously has a lot of orange peel that I have to remove by polishing it. And luckily in the Scratches Happen complete paint kit, you will also receive the relevant wet and dry sandpaper starting from 600 grit all the way to 1500 grit. And if you want to go a few steps further, you can always go ahead with finer grit sandpaper such as the 3000 or the 5000 grit. Alright, it is the next day and the car is completely scuffed with 1000 grit and 2000 grit sandpaper. So I'm going to go ahead and clean the sanding dust using a lint-free tack cloth. And this is a very good way of removing all the dust and nibs from sanding. And after removing all the dust, I'm going to use rubbing alcohol to degrease the bodywork. And in today's episode, I'm going to test the Scratches Happen polishing compound along with my regular polishing compounds. This Scratches Happen polishing compound is meant for hand polishing using a microfiber cloth. So I'm going to use the microfiber cloth provided in the paint kit and apply the polish in a circular manner. After a couple of seconds, I can already see myself on this polished area. But because I wet sanded with a 2000 grit sandpaper, I can see a lot of scratches and swirls on the hand polished area. So I guess we can conclude that if we are doing a smaller job, then the hand polish would be sufficient to get satisfactory results. But in my case, I have a whole side of the car to polish. So I'm going to use my rotary polisher to speed up the process. I'm going to start with the Meguiar's 105 Ultra Cut to get rid of all these scratch marks and then finish it up with Meguiar's 205 Ultra Finishing Polish. Alright, check this out. It looks absolutely phenomenal. It looks brand new. Check the shine on this end. It looks absolutely amazing. And I just did one stage only with the Meguiar's 105, and that's because I don't want this side to look like a mirror finish, because the other side, as you remember, has no work done on it. It's gonna have its swirl and scratches and natural wear and fade on this end. So I don't want to put in the work to polish the whole car because it takes a lot of time and I don't have much time in my hand. Today is the last day for me to have this car in my garage and I have to get done with this car. So look at the finish. It looks absolutely phenomenal. Check the paint quality out, and can you believe this paint was actually from an aerosol can by Scratches Happen. And as you can see my reflection right here, it looks absolutely phenomenal. I am super happy with the Scratches Happen paint quality and its 1K clear coat. And so this is the OEM color. And the paint goes continued, and from wherever I masked it and I feathered it off, there's a mix of a new paint and an old paint here, so the color match is on point. And I want to take a second to appreciate the quality of paint and material that is supplied by Scratches Happen. So if you guys want to do a DIY project for your repainting job, regardless of the size of a small scratch or a whole fender or the whole door, you are definitely in good hands with Scratches Happen. So check out the Scratches Happen US website, which is scratcheshappen.com, or the Canadian site, which is scratcheshappen.ca. And you can always use my code BILLFIXCARS to get a 10% discount on your whole order, and the link will be in the description, so definitely go and check them out. The only thing to do right now is to put a new mud flap here, and then the car will be finished from the exterior. Alright, the exterior is completed. Look at the shine, and it is just one stage with the Meguiar's 105 compound, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. I went ahead and I also put the mud flap that was required here. So the only other thing I have remaining is on the inside. I just have to do a bit of cleaning up here. And for the seats here, these are very stubborn. Use a combination of dishwashing liquid and just spray water to just prime the surface over. This is the cheapest, highest rated carpet and upholstery cleaner with its vacuum suction that comes with two add-ons. One is a brush and the other is a rubber. I put the liquid already here. I'm just gonna go ahead and connect this and start the work. Look at how much dirt came out from the car. And these are all from just the seats. Alright, seat cleaning is done and it looks way better than before. And the seats doesn't look like it has any more stains. So I should be good to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and give the car a quick nice clean. And after that, I'll put the car outside under the sun with the windows open so that the seats can dry up properly. And that will conclude all the work for this car. After getting the car completely clean and wet, there is no way I can tell the difference between the new paint feathered with the old paint. Check this out. I am super happy with the results of the paint quality, and I was able to do the whole project at home by myself, and the paint quality is absolutely on point and it looks absolutely phenomenal. So this concludes all the work needed on the 2011 Hyundai Tucson salvage rebuild. Huge thanks for watching this episode, and please make sure to support this channel by hitting on that thumbs up button and subscribing for more episodes in the future. Let me know in the comments below if I should have done anything differently, and if you have a constructive feedback for me so I can do better on my next build. The links will be in the description, and don't forget to use my code BuildFixCars for instant discounts. Until next time, I'll see you on the next one.